Hey everybody, this is Yosarian from BoyMeetsPhone.com. What I have here today is the Blackberry Z10. So we're going to take a quick look at this device. This is the latest and greatest from the company formerly known as RIM. Hardware-wise, we have a very nice device. It feels very solid in the hands. It has a very nice soft touch texture material for the back. And despite the fact this is a rather thin back cover, I have to say there is no give, so it just adds to the overall feel of this device and it makes it feel that much more better. Up front, we have a 4.2-inch high-def display at a resolution of 1280 by 768. So we have a pixel density of 355 pixels per inch, so that creates very nice crisp text. I haven't had any issues with outdoor visibility. It's also nice. Above the display we have the earpiece, the proximity and ambient light sensor, and a 2-megapixel camera. Below the display, right underneath the Blackberry logo, we have a microphone. Up top we have another mic, the 3.5mm headphone jack, and the power and screen lock button. On this side we have the micro USB and a micro HDMI port. Mirroring does work, had no issues outputting that to my high-def TV. On this side we have the volume rocker with a mute button in the center. I did find myself hitting the mute button accidentally, but overall I do feel that the buttons offer nice feedback. And on the bottom we have the speaker, and we also have, that's also how you pry off the back plate. I'm going to pry off the back plate now. You can see it's a very thin backplate, and despite that there is no give when you put it on the device, so it makes it feel really solid. The backplate does hide the NFC antenna and the contact points. There is a 1800 milliamp hour battery, a micro SIM card, and a micro SD card, so you do have expandable memory. And right there is the 8-megapixel autofocus camera with a single LED flash. The Z10 is running Blackberry 10 OS, which is the latest from Blackberry. I have to say that they did a lot of things that I like, and they also did a couple of things that confused me with this OS. Starting off with the things I like the fact that you don't actually have to press the power button to open up the device. If you swipe up from the bezel, starting from the Blackberry logo, you can actually unlock the device, which is pretty cool. To lock it again, you do have to press the power button, but that I think is pretty cool. Also from the lock screen you can see your latest appointment and all the messages you have waiting for you in your various inboxes. You have Facebook, your text messages, your emails, and any alerts that you have available, any alarms, stuff like that. I don't like how you have to launch the camera from the lock screen. You can't just press the camera icon, you can't just press and swipe up. You have to press and hold and wait for it to load. And if you let go at any point in time, so it does, and it takes a while for it to open. I think that's a little bit longer than I would like, especially if there's something that I really want to quickly capture. And here is the OS. So right here we have the tiles that you have open, so it shows you everything that you have currently open right now. It does limit you to 8 items at a time to have open. To close them, you hit the little X there. And it also does kind of like a live tile thing. You see right here my recent calls. It shows me the 3 recent calls. If I go into Blackberry World, swiping over will bring you up over to your apps. You can see all the apps. This is the AT&T version. AT&T didn't put much in the way of what we would normally consider bloatware on this device, which is really nice. But if I open Blackberry World, and then if I close it up, after a while it'll start showing me what's available in Blackberry World, and kind of like a little like featurette thing showing you like with videos and stuff like that is available to download, which is kind of nice. So it's kind of a live tile-ish feel to the multitasking. On the bottom here we have the phone dialer, the universal search, and the camera icon to launch the camera. Swiping down will show you your settings. I'm not too sure why they did this, but you can't do this everywhere. You can see right there, it switched to show me that Justin Timberlake's album is out. But if you're in the calendar, swiping down will show you a contextual menu, things that are important to use in the camera, so things like the calendar, but it does not allow you to get back to those toggles, which I'm not too sure why they like. Oh, I'm sure why, but even a two-finger gesture in there would have been nice to be able to pull down that regular settings, but they didn't do that. They just have the contextual settings. However, if you do a two-finger gesture anywhere in the OS, you'll get a keyboard. The keyboard does absolutely nothing. Even if I'm in the calendar and try to use the keyboard, it just does nothing. And it shows the last keyboard you used. And see, the last keyboard I used was in text messaging, that's why I had the send button there. So if I go, let's just go to search, and you see how now it's an enter button. Now I'll have the keyboard that I used in search. Very odd, not too sure why they've had a two-finger gesture to bring up a keyboard that does absolutely nothing. Swiping up with one finger will show you the indicator of how many messages you have waiting for you, and sliding slightly over will you peek into your inbox, and sliding completely over will bring you to the Blackberry Hub, which aggregates everything that you have going on in this device. I really love this because it shows you everything that you're doing message-wise, everything from Facebook, Twitter, your emails, so you see the emails you sent to yourself, your calls, the calls you've made, calls you've received, calls you've missed, everything in one spot. I really like the Hub. The Hub is a really nice feature. Taking a look at the apps on the Z10, you see that we have just a lot of basic apps. We have text messaging, you have the Blackberry Messenger app, of course, you have calendar, documents to go, which is nice, so you can edit documents from the phone. You have a picture gallery, music, videos, story maker, so you can actually create videos on the device. A lot of the social networking basics, you have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Foursquare. You have a Maps app. The Maps app is very bare bones. Open it up so you can see. Maps is very, very bare bones. You don't have much going on here. You don't have walking directions or anything like that. You can see the traffic, no satellite views. So no public transportation. It's a very, very bare bones map application. YouTube is just actually a web link. There's no actual YouTube app available on Blackberry 10, so hopefully that will be changed at some point. If Newsstand, voice control is another very bare bone app. Weather, show you how the weather app looks like. We're going to enter it. And that's how the weather app looks like. See the weather for Friday. If you cut map, it'll bring you to AccuWeather. Your clock, there's this really cool thing when you plug in the phone, a little bed icon shows up and you slide it down, you can see a clock on the display. It's a very, very dim but yet very bright clock, so it's like a nighttime thing. You can also set your alarm on that, so it's pretty cool. Box comes preloaded. You have a file manager, a compass, connects to Dropbox, print to go, NFC smart tag, so it does read NFC chips. So if I open this up, I actually have an NFC chip in my wallet. There you go. See, collected the NFC tag that's in my wallet. Angry Birds Star Wars, I downloaded to test that out. You have your settings menu. Settings menu just looks like a settings menu on a BlackBerry device. That the style of that has not changed since, I'd have to say, at least BlackBerry 6. You have Adobe Acrobat Reader. You have your phone app, your camera, your setup app, so you can set up all of your email accounts, your Wi-Fi, and things like that. Help, and you also have 2 AT&T apps on board. What's really cool, if you press and hold, you can rearrange things, but you can also delete several of the core apps on here. You can delete all the social networking. You can delete Newsstand. You can delete Box, things that came preloaded. You can also delete the things that AT&T preloads on it. So they went the Windows route and allows you to delete things that the carrier will download onto the device. So that's pretty cool. I have to say, currently one of the main hindrances to this OS is going to be its app selection. Luckily, this is one of the things that can be changed with a little bit of developer support. There's a lot of games available. There's a lot of videos available. I do like the video selection, the movie and TV show selection. However, there's a lot of core apps that a lot of users are looking for that aren't available on this device yet. Pandora, bring up the search. See, Pandora. There's a lot of Pandora-like apps or apps that can access Pandora's API, but there is no Pandora. Same thing with Instagram. And I mean, things like that are apps that users are expecting and like to see on devices, and not having that make it a hindrance to them getting people on board to using it. However, I would say to not let that completely sway you away from the device, because I am sure that with BlackBerry can get the developer support to get those apps on their latest OS. One of the standout features of BlackBerry 10 OS is the new keyboard, which uses flick gestures for its predictive typing. When you start typing out a word, you notice that there are words above the next letter. So if I say thanks, and then you can start swiping up, and it will start predicting what you could possibly be typing, or if what you want to say isn't there, you can just start typing. I have to say, this is a pretty cool way to enter text, and I found that using the keyboard was very smooth process. I had no issues shooting out a quick email or sending text using it. So this is a really nice feature and a very great keyboard on this phone. The Z10 is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 chipset. That consists of a 1.5 GHz dual-core Crate CPU and a Adreno 225 GPU. There's also 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of internal storage, as well as the micro SD card slot behind the battery cover, which will allow you to add an additional 64 gigabytes onto this device. As far as performance goes, I didn't have any issues with lag or responsiveness issues. It is a very solid performer, and it's probably partly due to the limitations on how many apps you can have open. And it's one of those times when the limitation is nice, because it does allow you to get the most out of the device without overpowering it. This does only have a 1800 milliamp hour battery, so if you had a lot of apps open, had more than 8 apps open at a time, you might find that you won't get through the day. In the time that I spent with it, I didn't have any issues getting through the day. This is the AT&T version that I have right now, so this is running on their LTE network, and I never fell onto 3G, so I was using LTE the whole time, had no issues getting through the day with the time that I have spent with the Z10. So battery life has been more than acceptable. The web browsing experience on the Z10 is quite nice. I like the web browser on BlackBerry 10 OS. On this side right here, we have the button to switch to our tabs. You can see the different tabs we have open. You can open a new tab, check the history, and also access your bookmarks. Down here we have our settings. Go to the in-depth settings, check your downloads, get site information if that's available, add things to your home screen, add bookmarks, go into reader mode, find things on the page, and also reload and go back and share. It will allow you to share to your various social networks wherever you have linked to the device, and also share it via NFC. One of the cool things, if I bring this phone up, you can see it's asking me if I want to refocus, enable Flash. Flash is built into the browser. However, I did find that it is an inconsistent performer. See, despite the fact that I enabled it, it is not loading up on this. However, I did get it to work sometimes, so hopefully they will address the fact that it is an inconsistent performance, but having Flash available on the browser, not as a add-on that you have to download, is quite nice, because there are a lot of Flash enabled sites still around, so having access to Flash and gives you the access to the full experience of web browsing. So I do like that they put that on the browser, though I wish it was a little bit more consistent. However, other than that, I'm going to go to another Flash enabled site that won't work. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I did get it to work earlier and it's just not working now, but pinch to zoom works rather nicely. Scrolling works. It's just that little Flash issue. Other than that, I have to say this is a really nice, fast web browser. Taking a look at the camera interface on the Z10, I have to say I do like the camera interface on Blackberry 10. It's rather simple, but it gets straight to the point and is simple to use. So simple to use is always nice. Up here we have the icon to switch from taking still images to video to using time shift. We'll get more into the modes a little bit later. Have a preview of the last image taken. Swiping down from the top will give you your settings to change where the images are taken. So if you have an SD card, it'll start storing there. You can also turn geotagging on and off. Tapping here will allow you to switch from the 8 megapixel autofocus camera in the rear to the 2 megapixel fixed focus camera up front. As far as your shooting modes go, you have your normal, stabilization, and burst. Burst will continue taking shots as long as you hold down the volume rocker, which is how you take shots. You can either hold down the volume rocker or just simply tap on the display to take a photo. In scene modes, you have action, whiteboard, night, and beach or snow. You have your flash controls right here, and you can change your aspect ratio to either 16:9 or 4:3. You can't change the size of the resolution of the image, so it's going to be at 8 megapixels unless you're using a different mode. To refocus, you have to drag the focus icon to the area you want to refocus on. You can't just tap to focus because tapping will take a picture. As far as image quality goes, I liked the image quality, I didn't have any issues with it. Switching over to the video, you have two size settings. You have the full high def 1080p and you have 720p. If your light options there, you can either use the single LED flash as a torch or have it off. You have your scene modes, which include auto, night, and beach/snow. You have your stabilization modes or normal shooting mode, and you can also switch the camera. I don't like the fact that you have to drag to refocus while recording. That's a little bit annoying, but it does do continuous autofocus. But if you want to focus on a specific area, you can't just tap to focus on it, because tapping will stop the recording. You have to drag the focus icon over to the area you want to record. Pinching N will allow you to use the digital zoom, and it's the same thing when taking a photo. And the last is one of the coolest features, and that's going to be time shift. The time shift does is it will take several pictures once you, and then if there's face in it, it'll allow you to tap on the face and choose the best face for the shot. So say one of your subjects blinks, you can tap the face and it'll shift back through all the pictures it took and you can select the best face and create your perfect photo that way, which is pretty awesome, especially if you have kids. Kids move around a lot, they blink. Having that is a awesome thing. You can also shift through just the pictures in general to find the best shot. So say if you got an action shot of a person jumping, you can shift through and decide that's the photo you want, and you tap the check mark in the corner to process it. Right now I'm just going to delete this one because it's just a picture of a Campbell soup can. So overall, I do have to say I like the camera and the camera interface on the Z10. Overall, I have to say that I do like the Blackberry Z10. It is a solid offering from a company that hasn't been sitting around twiddling their thumbs while all of the other OSs have been gaining in momentum. They've been watching and creating, and they've made a OS that is very compelling. I do love the BlackBerry Hub. Having everything centralized in one area is quite nice. I did think it was gonna take a little while to get used to using gestures and not having hardware keys or anything like that, but I found that the gestures were quite natural to get used to. I love the keyboard. I love the camera interface, despite the fact it's simple. It's simple in a good way. It's simple, gets straight to the point. There's some minor software quibbles, but these are things that can be changed and can be worked on and improved. And same thing with the app selection. Despite the fact that there are some apps that aren't available yet, as soon as developers get on board, you can see those apps coming to this OS. So overall, I'd have to say that this device is well worth a look. For more reviews, head over to the site boymeetsphone.com. Remember to like me on Facebook, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. This has been Yosarian from boymeetsphone.com. Thanks for watching.